Okay, guys. So thank you so much for those of you that are sticking with us into this last session. We really do hope that this final session that's really focused on helping you plan for changes to your current work and practice in genetics will take what we've learned together over the last 2 days and put it into action. I don't have any conflicts of interest to disclose. And this is our statement of NYMAC's federal funding. So in our time together today, we're going to do a few things. We're going to start with some questions and a survey about how people feel that their perspective was valued in this conference. We're then going to start supporting you in focusing on your key insights, what action steps are needed, how to involve others, and really planning for your next step toward change. So first, we're going to ask you some questions that we asked everyone last year. You've likely heard throughout the meeting that making space for diverse perspectives is important to us and to this conference. So we want to check in about how we did. So you're going to see a poll come up first about how you think your perspective was valued during the meeting and how this compares to other meetings you've been to. So there's 2 questions on the poll. The first one, how you feel you were valued, and then the second one, how this compares to other experiences.
So we have some answers coming in. Yeah, there should be a Zoom poll up on your screen. And go ahead and answer that. This is valuable feedback. And the participation is slowing down a little bit.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Would you like me to share those responses back, Alissa?
Yes, please. Great. So, for those of you that said you felt your perspective was highly valued, we want to hear more from you about what made you feel that way, so we can build on that. For those of you that said something less than 10, we want to learn from you what could have been done better. And for those of you that answered kind of on the lower end of the scale, we really appreciate that honesty too. And we want to hear really from you what we can improve on next year. So what we're going to do as a quick follow-up to this is in the chat, you'll see a link for a super quick survey, just a couple questions that kind of build on this concept. And we really do take this information as we did last year to help us structure the meeting for the next year in a way that does a better job at making people feel that they're supported during the meeting, and it's the kind of environment that they can share their perspectives. So let's take just 2 minutes to share those thoughts. Perfect. So thank you so much to everybody for sharing your experiences and thoughts. We really do think about that as we structure for things for next year. So at this time, I'm going to invite our wonderful conference facilitators to join us to work with me on the next steps of planning for change.
All right. Hello, everybody. So I'm Erica Marks. I'm here with Fred Brown. Together, we're going to do this next session with you. And we know that there are two things happening right now. This is the end of the 2 days of a lot of conference plus everything else you've had going on in your life. So probably people are a little tired, a little full. And this is also the time where if you leave this conference and have not put in the time to integrate and think about how you're going to apply this, the tidal wave of our lives will take over, and it will be less likely that you'll have time to really make the thoughtful changes that you intend to make or integrate what you've learned and what you found most inspiring here today. So we have designed a session for you to pull together your most significant insights, then take one of those insights that you can use to expand access to genetic services in your area of practice or your way of accessing genetic services if you're coming from the family perspective. Work with that more, and we're going to guide you through like a scaffolded step-by-step thing, and specifically around how to identify more people that could be involved in making this work well, bringing new involvement, supporting with resources. We have a one step at a time approach to work you through this. So we're going to start with the big picture, to think back over these 2 very full days and all the sessions you went to or you've heard about, and share with each other what insights have been most significant to you on the field of how to expand access to genetic services. So this is a chance to just, in the big picture, what's been most significant? What really stood out to you? What resonates with you? Doesn't have to be the biggest thing. Maybe it's just something you just hadn't thought of before. This is for you to think about what you're taking away. A year from now, what are you going to remember and say, you know what? I learned that at the NYMAC conference. I had this one conversation. So take a few minutes, think about that, and then there's a link in chat to share your response. Fred's going to share them on the screen. And then what will happen next is you'll have a chance to talk with some other people on the call about that insight. And your job then will be to come back with one change to current practice. And Alissa, if you're there, if you want to comment on any of these as far as content perspective, you're welcome to do so.
Like we're touching on concepts from across the 2 days. So we certainly talked about telegenetics this morning. That's up here, as well as the Golden program. We talked today also about getting involved in research studies. Yesterday, we had great conversations about offering services and materials in other language and how to make those adaptations and do a good job with infographics and using simple language. Those are things that stuck with people. Using services like Genome Connect and other ways to share data around rare disease, which can be really important to clarifying variant status. The importance of personalized medicine. I know pharmacogenomics was a big topic in the primary care talk today. And I'm glad that someone put that connecting with other people who are passionate about genetics and rare disease. That's really a big priority for us, and holding this meeting is to make those connections. So I'm glad that came to the front as well.
Great. And there's a few in chat that people are sharing as well.
Perfect.
All right. So holding these treasures of what was most significant to you, and they're still coming in a little bit. The next beat of the program today, we're going to have twice, you're going to have small group discussions. The first one is going to be in a moment here, where you're going to work with what is that insight that brought the most clear motivation for change? So it's a slightly different question. What insight brought the most clear motivation for change for you? And what specific change can you make to your current practice as a result? So now we're looking at taking the insights and what was inspiring to you and thinking about which one of those, or maybe it's something else that you picked up along the way. You're like, I want to change something. Could be change something big or small. You're not alone,
Yeah,
because
we'll
the
do
next
that.
part of this will be how to involve other people in what you're looking to change. So you will have breakout rooms to have these conversations for 10 minutes. And your assignment when you come back is to come back ready to share ready to work with one change to your current practice or your way of advocating for your family that will work with for the rest of the session. You work with it for the rest of the session. So I'm going to put the prompt in chat. And as far as who goes first in your discussion group, if you're all like, who goes first? The suggestion is the person who most recently petted a cat. Bonus if you want to bring the cat to the conversation. I haven't seen many cats here today, so this is this is the part of the program where cats can come in, and those are your instructions. Fred, anything you want to say as far as the details of what it will be like out there?
No, I'll just as Erica mentioned, you'll get an invitation to a room. There is a Spanish-speaking room, room number 1, as has become our custom for this conference. Join the room if you can, and I'll be moving people around in case you were randomly assigned to a room where other people weren't available. I'll be trying to get you into viable conversations to share with one another. So I'm going to open those rooms now. As Erica said, that prompt is in chat, and we will see you back here in 10 minutes.
All right, welcome out of the breakout rooms, everybody. You broke out of the breakout rooms. You came out to the main session. And if you, and hopefully you're out there having some interesting conversation. Who, by like, wiggle your fingers if you got a new idea or a new insight by having that conversation. Just wiggle your fingers. I see some people out there. Lynn, I see some people who have had some new interesting conversations out there. Well, we gave you homework, and that was to come back ready to share with this one thing that you're going to work with for the remainder of this session. One change to make to your current practice, or one change to make in your organization, one change to make in your practice of how you approach advocacy for your family. One change. We're going to work with that one change. So examples, it could be maybe you're in a position in organization where you could look to get funds to hire a community liaison or engage conversations about structural racism in your organization or bring in training on that. Maybe you're a pediatrician and you can look into the resources that you're sharing with families and see, are they culturally relevant? Are they population relevant? So we're going to collect responses here in the Mentimeter, and you can answer here. So we just see a bit of what everybody's working with out there. The link is in the chat. We can start seeing some of those coming in. And I'm telling you now, you're going to keep working with whatever you declare right here, you're going to work with for the next half an hour or so. So choose something that you actually have the ability to influence. And see how specific you can get. So I see that the answer in chat, have genetic testing in mind when seeing patients. Great. And how will you know if you've succeeded? How will you know? And I'm not asking you specifically, just rhetorically for everyone to think about this. Make it, see if you can come up with, work on refining that, and we'll support that to make your action item so specific that if we asked you a year from now, did you do it? Yes or no? Alissa, did you want to jump in and comment on any of the responses you're seeing in here?
Sure.
Okay, great.
I see something about HIPAA in here. I do think that the telehealth talk scared people just a little bit about all the rules changing and the things that they might need to know before the end of the summer. So just something to be aware of. And as I said, most places, most hospital systems have someone you can go ask now. Definitely seems like some of the resources that were shared from the Golden program and the other Dr. Gold from CHOP about structural racism are things that people want to utilize, and the skills that Rosani helped us build around making good resources in plain language for other communities is something that people want to move forward on. People mentioning engaging with special interest groups that represent other populations. So really keeping our recognition on what we can do to support people coming from underserved communities. Questioning the status quo, probably always a good thing across the board.
All right, well, these are great. These are things to work with. These are the type of things that will make an actual change. So we're going to work with these. That's our next part, is working in parallel, working together, supporting each other. So the next piece of this is Alissa and our team has worked together to create a resource for you that we could call it a worksheet. That's a document to help support your thinking about finding collaborative partners that can help in achieving your goals. And I'm going to put the link in chat now of a Google Doc version of this worksheet. And this will become, this is a little bit of the tech part of the program. And in a moment, I'll share a PDF link that's on the NYMAC site. If Google Docs don't work for you, you can just watch what's happening and not worry about it right now. But this, the way what's being shared now is anyone with the link can view. So I see all the little anonymous animals coming in here. And what you're going to want to do is make a copy for your own use. So I'm going to share my screen to show how to do this. So if you're in here on the school doc, like all these little anonymous animals, the next thing to do is to go to the file menu and click make a copy. When you click that, it will say, what do you want to name it? Where do you want to put it? And then it will be made a copy in your own Google ecosystem. So because you'll notice you can't type in here. I can type in here because I made this, but no one else can type in here, which makes it very unusable. So click on file and make a copy. If that is not working for you, you can also click on file and then you can download this in whatever form you know does work for you. So if you know you have Microsoft Word or Open Document, that would work if you're using a Mac and you're going to open in Pages. If you want to open it as a, download it as a PDF, you can access that here. So go ahead and get your own copy. If you're like, I don't want to mess with any of this right now, then just get out a piece of paper or open a notes document, and it's not what is on the worksheet will not be, there are a couple pages to the worksheet, but you'll be able to follow along. If none of this is working for you, then I'm going to share another link in chat that's directly to the NYMAC website, and that where it has the PDF version of this available in English or Spanish, where you can just go and directly access it on the website. So please do not leave the meeting because of this tech thing. This hopefully is useful, but even if you, let's just check in. So wiggle your fingers if you've managed to make yourself a working copy of this document at this point. Let's see how many people we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we've got some people, and okay, fingers down, and wiggle your fingers if you're still working on it. You're like, I'm working on it, try and make it happen. Okay, so I think most people who want to make this happen have made something happen. I'm going to move into the content of this so we can start working with it. So the first part of this is remembering is the question we just asked you. So at the very top, go ahead and fill in on your worksheet or on your piece of paper, what change you're planning to make to your current practice. So this is just what you just wrote, a version of that. And then you can see the question below that. You might as well answer this at the same time. Who are you creating solutions for? So who would be directly affected by the change you're trying to make? So some of the examples that were shown on the screen of, oh, I'll make materials more accessible. Choose a population that you're talking about making it more accessible. Is that the Hispanic community? Is that teens? What does that mean about what? Choose a population there. That will help make it more specific. Even if you're planning to make the change for lots of groups, for the sake of this session and our 20 minutes or so together, you'll get the most value out of this if you choose a specific population.
Erica, I want to chime in for anyone who's listening to the interpretation channel. The link we put in chat for the Spanish version of the worksheet goes to the English version of the Google Doc. So the Spanish PDF should be accurate. I'm going to work behind the scenes to put a link to the Spanish version of the Google Doc in chat. So hang tight, that'll be there momentarily.
Great. Thank you, Fred, for working behind the scenes. Okay, you may have moved on. You may have looked ahead in the worksheet, because then we're going to give you a couple more minutes to do this part 3 of the worksheet. Then we're going to send you back into breakout groups again. But so that you have something to think about how much the value there is of involving other people in whatever it is you're going to do. Alissa worked tirelessly and thoughtfully to come up with categories of the type of partners that are stakeholders in making changes that could help. So I asked her to give examples because those examples might trigger your thinking. So in this area here, there's 6 different categories here, and then other. So there's room here next to each of them to just put some notes of what organization would match this in your community, and any other notes about this. And you can keep this note document going when you are going to go into breakout groups in a little bit. So community meaning people who surround that population of interest. Community organizers, family leaders, people where the families are, all advocates. You know, I'm going to not read this because you all can read this, I believe. So scroll down and just see how much you can fill in a couple minutes of specific organizations or people that come to mind when you look through these different categories. I'll just give you everyone a couple minutes to do this. And if you have a question, go ahead and put it in chat or you can speak out. All right. So we gave you homework. We gave you classwork. And the classwork is the ticket to the conversation. So I'll just ask, did anyone from reading all those different categories and thinking about who else could be involved in this change, did anyone get a new idea by doing that? Just out of curiosity. Wiggle your fingers if you're like, yeah, I got a new idea looking through those. So maybe I see Cindy's like, hey, maybe. Well, here's the other way you get new ideas. You get to go talk to other people on this call who want to be having a conversation about the changes they're going to make, and compare notes and see if you got some new ideas. See if the worksheet helped. Maybe you had different parts that were more relevant to each of you. So we'll give you time in discussion groups again. These will again be the Zoom algorithm of friendship lottery. Share the change you are planning to make. and who you're involving in the process. And maybe you've got lots of people involved, but maybe what's the most interesting or creative collaboration or hopeful collaboration. Someone who you realize like, wow, it would be really great if we got the Boy Scouts involved, or whatever it is that has come to mind for you. And see if you can help each other. Come up with some new ideas, maybe what's worked in your areas. And come back. We're going to ask this question with a single action you can take in the next 24 hours. I would say even in the next hour or in the next 15 minutes, like one thing to start the ball rolling when you come back from your breakout rooms. One tiny thing, like a 5-minute action, like a request, an offer, a tiny action to start the ball rolling. That's what we'll ask you for when you come back. But in the meantime, go out there and see who else could be involved in this change. All right, Fred, I'll turn it over to you to any logistics about that.
Yeah, I think the only logistics are, again, we want to create space for people that want to be in conversation. So last time I combined some pairs. I want to acknowledge that that is something I wouldn't do in person. I would never pick you up and teleport you to a different room. So I want to acknowledge that as a jarring thing to happen in Zoom. It is done with the intention of trying to create a more viable pairing. So at least if you're a pair, I'll put you with another pair so you can at least stay connected to your partner. If you end up in a room and the people who are there aren't really there, feel free to come on back and we can help get you into a room, or feel free to just open the breakout room menu and get into a conversation where you see people are there. But I am opening those rooms. There is a Spanish speaking breakout room as before. And so you should be seeing invitations pop up, and I see people are accepting that invitation. If you have joined recently, just we are processing what we've learned over the last couple of days, and we are moving towards individual action in the service of building collaborative partnerships. So you'll all be receiving an invitation momentarily to join rooms, and those will be open for another 9 minutes.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, everyone who's out there in the breakout rooms. Okay, we do some more. So you may have been right in the middle of a conversation. The assignment out there, or the task to complete, I see everyone coming back. All right, it's getting to be a smaller and more refined group out here. Let's just see who managed to meet someone new in the breakout rooms. Like, wiggle your fingers if you managed to meet someone new. Oh, we still got some new meeting people out there. Okay, we are not done yet. We have not mixed the salad completely. We still have people meeting somebody new. And wiggle your fingers if you met someone that you have already met, and you met familiar faces. Okay, all right, I think we've got more of that going on. So the ratio is getting up there. So these are your friends, your colleagues, the people who can help make things happen. The reason we have this session at the end of the conference is because so many conferences end and they're full of just hundreds and thousands of hours of work and passion and care and sleepless nights, and people bringing what they care the most about, what they're trying to communicate. And it all happens, and then everyone goes back to their lives, and it was a beautiful memory, but does anything really, really change in their practice? And this last bit here in our last few minutes, it's about how can you take one change, one step that involves another human being that starts something different happening that wouldn't have happened if you didn't come to this conference or if you didn't make this choice right now. So the task here before you is to whittle down whatever you've been talking about, of a change you want to make, something you truly want to have different in the world, and get it down to one thing that you can do in the next 24 hours. But really, I would say if you can do it in the next 15 minutes, maybe it's a message to somebody in this meeting right now that says, I want to set up a time to talk to you about this, or I would like to invite you to ask people in your organization to apply for this program we have going, or I'm ready to present what I've been sharing. Can you help me where I can who would be interested in my story? Something that's just an invitation, a request, an action that involves another human being. So identify what that will be. And the bonus question is to identify someone who's invested in your success. So another person who's involved in this happening, who's your cheerleader, who is going to be like, that's great, you made that phone call. That's fantastic. That's the bonus part of this. Identify a person who can be by your side, who will cheerlead you through starting to make this change. And in a moment, we're going to put the question in chat so that you can put that out there to the world of what's that change you're going to make? What's the next step? The next step, and the bonus question of who, could be just first name, who is that is invested in your success? It may be the same person that you're going to call after this meeting, maybe. So I'm going to put the question in chat. Oh, that's the breakout room question. I'm going to put a Mentimeter link in chat. This is where we change the world one little step at a time. This is where you can put it out in front of everybody what that is. So what's your next step? One small step that takes less than 10 minutes you can do in the next 24 hours. Let's see them. Cindy, yours is great. I'm going to put it right there. I'm going to put it in the Mentimeter. Oh, it's in there.
It's going to happen twice. Cindy, you now have to do that twice.
Yeah, right, Cindy. We are also enthusiastic about this. And Alyssa, in the final 3 minutes of the session, I'm going to invite you to come up if there's comments you want to make about what's coming in here, if you want to field any questions.
It's great to see that there are organizations that came up today, whether it's the UDN's Undiagnosed Disease Networks or Rare Genomes or Golden or NYMAC or the Telehealth Resource Centers that are new resources for you. These organizations out there doing important work that maybe you didn't know about before and can be not only valuable to you, but to your colleagues that are doing important work. I know all of those organizations have helped me tremendously. So I'm really glad that we were able to bring them together for people. And I do think there'll be a lot of movement in people that were in this conference at looking at what resources are being handed out to families around genetics and how they can be adapted, even for English speakers, to make them more simple and family friendly and understandable. And I think even more so for our families in other languages. And I think I see Radhika answering the question in there about reconnecting with people who express interest in being involved in NYMAC. So we are so grateful to the people that took the time to say that they want to be more involved in what we're doing, and we want to be more involved in what you're doing. So we look forward to building new collaborations with you and building out our network, because getting more and more perspectives across every state, district, and territory that we're in is always a benefit for us. And I see Radhika put her email in the chat as well.
I'm not very subtle today, Alyssa. Join me. Come and be a part of my team. I see there are people here who are on my teams, and they can tell you I don't ask a lot. Cindy's here, Lynn's here, Barb is here, Andrea's here, Kelly Donahue's here. There's a lot of friends I see, but there's a lot of new friends I'd love to make. And we're really, really excited about trying to connect with people in our different regions, because the only way we're going to know about what's happening in your neck of the woods is from you. So please do reach out and email me if you're interested. Oh, thanks, Cindy.
All right. Well, we thank all of you for really spending this time with us brainstorming, as Erica said, how to, instead of letting all these ideas kind of float away from you, how to really harness the energy that you have right now and do something today. I know I always come home from conferences with little notebooks full of things that I hardly ever open again. And they seemed like such good ideas at the time. But I think that, making this commitment together to send an email or call a friend or do something right now can really help all of us commit to keeping things moving forward.